Well, welcome back everybody. Thanks for joining me today. If you're new, appreciate you being here. Just a little bit about this channel it's kind of inspired by my kids. It's a place to kind of store my experiences, my knowledge. My sons are a big part of the final product that are these videos. So I hope they inspire you to maybe go out and do the same. So today I want to talk a little bit about, I think it's the second video in a series I'm calling Igniting Moral Fortitude. We're going to discuss the war on weakness and 3 steps to basically forge unbreakable moral courage. America's bleeding, not from bullets, but backbone. We're raising kids who crumble at the slightest discomfort, trading truth and integrity for likes. But how about you? Are you the antidote? Could you be? Today we're going to discuss 3 steps to forge moral courage that shatters weakness. If you're in, stay locked in. If not, the war may already be lost for you. I had a friend named Tim, a veteran. I met him in 2013 upon his return from Afghanistan. He really began struggling with PTSD, drinking a lot, blaming politicians, the government, society, everyone. Life's unfair, he'd say. He started isolating himself from his wife, his family, and I could see he was kind of spiraling out of control. I knew he needed a little bit of help, so I gave him a challenge. I said, you got to stand for something. Don't tell me you don't care about anything in your life. There is a spark that can be found inside every man, and it takes the slightest breeze to turn it into a flame. So Tim starts small. He starts attending a vet support group where he faces his demons. Now, history is full of examples of this. We have a Viktor Frankl who found meaning in a Nazi camp and wrote Man's Search for Meaning. Or you could take Rosa Parks, whose quiet courage sparked a movement. Now Tim begins to rebuild. He gets a new job. He reconciles with his family. And he starts to find purpose in his life. Now, moral courage isn't born, it's forged in fire. So the question is, are you ready to stand for something? Why the problem exists? So why this weakness? Have you ever noticed how our schools teach fragility? Every challenge is somehow someone else's fault. So unless your parents were aware of this and actively neutralizing this influence and helping you see it for what it really was, then you've relied on academia, or worse yet, the media, and their narrative, which glorifies victimhood over grit. So as a result, few people stand for truth. Here's a crazy stat. 62% of young adults avoid risks from fear of failure, says Gallup. So some real world examples, remember back in 2020 during the riots, weakness let chaos reign. Unlike the founding fathers who stood firm for liberty because their religious beliefs confirmed the truth. The founding fathers, men like George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, were driven by a deep-seated why, rooted in religious principles that valued liberty, justice, and the inherent dignity of man as God-given. Many influenced by Christian scripture and Enlightenment ideals drew moral courage from biblical teachings, like Proverbs 3, verses 5 and 6, where it says to trust in the Lord. And Micah 6, verse 8, do justly, love mercy. These verses steeled their resolve to defy tyranny, risking lives for independence. For instance, John Adams leaned on his Puritan faith to boldly sign the Declaration of Independence in 1776, knowing it could mean death. Their spiritual morality emphasized truth, sacrifice, and righteousness. It gave them the grit to forge a nation against impossible odds, standing firm in the face of British might. I fear that this moral vacuum has sucked the fight out of us. Core lesson, the 3 courage forges. All right, folks, we've seen the war on weakness, and now let's forge your armor to fight it. These 3 forges aren't just talk, they're battle-tested tools to build unbreakable moral courage. So we're hammering them in. one by one, so you walk away ready to stand tall. So let's grab your grit and let's get to work. Forge 1, know your why. First, you need a fire in your belly, a reason to stand up. What drives you? Family, freedom, truth? Without a why, you're just drifting in a storm. So step 1, grab a pen right now and write these 3 core beliefs that light you up. Maybe it's protect my kids, my grandkids, fight for what's right, or never bow to lies. Read that list every morning like a farmer checks his field at dawn. Every morning. Reiterate these core beliefs in your life. If you need a real example, some things that you might think of are like the abolitionists who risked their lives for justice. Your why needs to be your North Star. If you lose it, you're lost. So some more action you can take. Write yours now, say it loud, feel that spark. That's it. That's an important part of implementing this in your life. It's the foundation. So now that you kind of know what that is, let's build on it. Go to Forge 2. Practice bold. Rehearse your escapes from fear. Now, the heart of courage comes from practice. Boldness isn't born. It's built, like sharpening a blade or rehearsing a speech in the mirror. I urge you to speak one hard truth daily. Say no to a bad habit. Call out a wrong or stand up when others sit silent. What steps can you take? Start in the mirror. Look yourself dead in the eye and say the words you'd normally choke on. I won't accept this excuse. I'm done with fear. Build from there. One real conversation a day. Someone you might want to remember, Harriet Tubman, born Aramita Ross in 1822 on a Maryland plantation. Enslaved, beaten, nearly killed at 13. She didn't break. She eventually escaped. In 1849, at 27, she fled 90 miles through the swamps, dodging slave catchers with guns and dogs, literally guided by the North Star, whispering prayers and scripture to steady her nerves. That was her first rehearsal. But amazingly, she returned 13 times, risking death to free 70 souls, her parents, siblings, and many others. In Christmas 1850, she saved her niece Keziah and 2 babies from auction, disguised as an old woman and navigating icy rivers. In 1857, she led 11 fugitives through a blizzard to mask their steps, singing spirituals and evading patrols. In 1860, in the city of Troy, New York, she stormed a courthouse to free Charles Knoll, fighting off marshals, shoving Knoll through a window amid gunfire. Each escape was rehearsed, mapping routes, signaling allies, staring down fear. She never lost a passenger, earning her the name Moses. Your mirror moment? That's your Underground Railroad. Role play your no from weakness to strength today. So, take action. Stand up, face the camera, say your bold truth. Feel it. That's Tubman's fire in your veins. Forge 3, the stand for something pledge. Now, seal your courage with a pledge. Go public with your stand. Make it loud. Make it clear. I stand for, insert there. Post it online. Tell a friend or declare it at work. Own the pushback. That's the Forge's heat. So take a step. Write your pledge today. I pledge to fight for truth, or I stand for my family's future. Share it this week, even if your voice shakes. Let me tell you another story about Frederick Douglass. Born enslaved in 1818, also in Maryland, like Harriet. Beaten, starved, taught himself to read in secret, risking death for every page. At 20, he escaped to the North, but freedom just wasn't enough. He pledged to end slavery itself. In 1841, at an abolitionist meeting in Nantucket, Massachusetts, Douglass stood before a white crowd, trembling, and spoke his truth. I am a man, and slavery is a sin. That speech, raw and unpolished, lit a fire Newspapers spread his words. Abolitionists begged for more. He wrote his life story in 1845, Narrative of the Life of Frederick Douglass, exposing slavery's horrors, knowing that it made him a target. Slave catchers hunted him. Mobs attacked his lectures. In 1847, he launched his own newspaper, the North Star, vowing, "Right is of no sex. Truth is of no color." Every speech, every page was a pledge, facing death threats and riots, like in 1850 Boston, when he was beaten for denouncing the Fugitive Slave Act. Douglass didn't flinch. He spoke to presidents, rallied crowds, helped spark the Civil War's moral fight. 50 years later, in 1865, slavery was dead, partly because he pledged his life to truth and freedom. Your pledge? It's your North Star. Share it and let the haters come. They're just proof you're standing. Action. Write it now. I pledge to fill in the blank. Post it. Say it. Own it. So there you go. 3 forges. Hammered tight. Know your why. Practice bold. Pledge your stand. You're not weak. You're a warrior, forged in fire. Feel that weight lifting? So I call you to action here. We found courage, now wield it. From victim to victor. Like, if you're forging ahead. Subscribe and comment your pledge below. From weakness to warrior. Thanks for staying here. Appreciate your support. We'll see you next time.